Not a lot of people showed such sincere interest in me. I felt so lucky to be around this girl.
Ugh, simp.
And who's that? Oh, it's Mr. MVP! Simp!
Hello, friends, and welcome back to ReddX, your source for the freshest daily cringe content anywhere on the internet. Promise. Swearsies, it's just a fact, and it's totally science. Go ahead, look it up. Thanks so much. Finally, I guess we'll go do the Onision book thing. This is why I hate you, and really, I do hate this book so very much. If you've missed the previous part, those links in the description. In the last episode, we had the guy go through boot camp, so now he's using his super cool, totally real, sweet karate skills on behalf of the U.S. Air Force. So, I guess we'll see how it goes.
Chapter 10, Failure to Perform.
It's probably what they should have named this book, honestly. It doesn't perform in any capacity.
It's been a month now since I went through basic.
I think that's the first mention of like any timeline at all halfway through the book in this journal. What the hell?
The last entry was made during the first week of security forces training. I feel like a train bound to metal tracks with only one destination, becoming a cop for the Air Force.
Awesome. It takes all different sorts to move the world, I guess. Surely it's a good idea to give this sadist power over others, right? He'll be such a well-balanced cop. He'll fit right in.
Who wants to get tased?
Excuse me?
Let's go tasty crazy.
My roommate, Eamon Taylor, is obsessed with country music despite being from Minnesota.
Sounds like a cool dude, knows what he likes. I wouldn't pick country every day, but I don't know. There's something to be said for boot scootin' boogie, you know? Brooks and Dunn, little Dwight Yoakam. Turn it on, kick back with a little whiskey highball, and, you know, take the ride. You can't think that you're better than another person for liking this type of music or that, because really it's such a global thing with very specific cultures. Something that sounds like a real jam in India might sound like complete shit to the rest of the world. There's also some Indian music out there that is totally lit and amazing. Continuing on,
Eamon Taylor is a scrawny-looking brunette guy with brown eyes and pimples on his face. To save you from looking at a map, Minnesota is right by North Dakota and shares a border with Canada.
Yeah, awesome. Now we basically know everything there is to know. He has pimples and he's from Minnesota.
I just assumed most people who are into country music came from the South, considering the desert cowboy cliche.
There's country music from all around the world. I heard some South African country music and I was like, damn, it really does sound like country music, even though I can't understand what the hell they're saying.
I think it's pretty hard to be a cowboy and build a snowman at the same time.
Why? Why the fuck would you think that? How about the plains of Wyoming, where the bison run free or some shit? Probably snows a lot up there, doesn't it? I don't think just because you're a cowboy that means you can't go in snow. This seems like a really stupid rule. This is just further proof that your world is teeny tiny.
Regardless of the fact that he blasts his inbred music on a regular basis, he seems like a pretty decent guy. Oh, that's my impression of him.
Yeah, good judge of character. The guy who doesn't interact with anybody, that's definitely the guy you want to ask about whether another dude is weird or not.
As I learned before, most everyone is socially palatable until they have a significant reason to be otherwise.
Yes, you were roommates who were cordial. Interesting. Fascinating.
Yeah, and don't forget about the country music and the pimples.
Yeah, he's definitely a fleshed out character now.
I bet if you offered my roommate $100 million to smother me in my sleep, he'd have done it the first chance he got.
I mean, I would do it for free, honestly.
Humans seem sane because appearing that way serves us better than the alternative.
Well, I don't know about that. Have you seen, like, looting videos and riots and stuff? I mean, it's not sane, but it definitely serves you well. I got a free TV.
We isolate, segregate, and demonize people whose behaviors conflict with other members of society, and then act surprised when someone snaps.
Well, that's true. It's always surprising to me. But on the other hand, yeah, shame is a pretty important part of society, I think. We didn't know that. We threw it out the window for a little while, and now I think it's time to pull it back inside. Perhaps we can make it a centerpiece.
We find out someone randomly loses it and has in fact been crazy the whole time, but of course, it came out of nowhere.
I sort of want to agree, because the truth is you can never really know what anybody else is thinking, but overall I like to think that people have good intentions. They're not just ticking time bombs waiting to explode for one reason or another.
Mostly the isolation and segregation.
It's like, dude, you weren't segregated at all. You were able to join up in the military. You went to a regular-ass school, led a pretty regular-ass life. Except for the divorced parents thing, but I don't know. That's kind of regular these days now too, isn't it?
John, I want a divorce.
Divorce.
Truth be told, the only thing that makes this author interesting is his own ineptitude.
When you create a closet and tell people if they hide their darker traits in it, everyone will accept them, you're gonna have a full closet.
No, not really. It's you that are going to have a full closet. I've been pretty open and honest with just about everything in my life. And that's because I do lead a pretty honest life. I've done some crazy things, gotten a little bit of trouble, but it's never been anything that I couldn't morally justify. I think Onision is revealing a lot about himself with that sentence. He doesn't want to have to morally justify the deplorable actions that he's taken, so he just shoves all his secrets in a closet. And yeah, some of them leaked out, and maybe some people think I'm a bad guy, but at least I still have this whole fan base, which is basically dwindled down to absolutely nothing. I mean, I'm surprised trolls never really got a hold of Onision, that he never became like a lol cow. I guess because he is just that quick to flee from any sort of confrontation. He'll block you instantly or file a lawsuit. And to that, I would say, come on through. We'd love to take whatever money you have left over. Anyway, yeah, full closet.
However, the reality of the closet is that it can only hold so much. One day, it may burst.
Well, this closet analogy is really weird. You can build a bigger closet. You can optimize for space a little bit better.
I'm just saying, stop acting shocked when you find out someone you knew wound up being a nut job.
Oh, trust me, I know who the nut jobs are. They're all of my closest friends, basically. But I like that. Predictability is lame. Let's get on some real whacked out shit, you know?
You just didn't try to connect with them and find out who they really were.
Oh yes, this OP is so much more than skin deep. The fact is I do connect. That's why I know that the people I like the most are sort of nut jobs. But they know the same thing about me, so it's all good. Meanwhile, author's out here trying to remove himself from the equation and be like, nah, couldn't have ever been me. Do you not realize what a deranged and tiny mind it would take to to write these words? To write all of this and then have the audacity,
The unmitigated gall!
to try and sell it to people, to ask money for it. Now who's really nuts?
All you did was give those people incentive to pretend to be like you. You built a ship. Now sink with it.
I have literally no idea what the fuck you're talking about. I'm sorry about your relationship with your father. It might be something you need to talk about with a therapist, okay? I'm not him. Please seek help.
Regardless, I was able to call Ashley. Our conversation kinda went like this. Hey Ashley, it's Arthur, I said in a hopeful voice. Ashley replied, "Oh," which in dog means who. Me being horrified by this response, I tried to remain calm and said again, It's Arthur. I haven't been gone that long, have I? Ashley paused and then said, "Oh," which of course in dog speak means, "Oh, hi, I wouldn't forget the guy who took my V card, Arthur. I just didn't expect you to call." And I replied, "Yeah, well, I thought I should." And then she said, "Oh, oh, okay," in a tone that seemed completely disinterested.
Why does any of this even bear mentioning? He's like, "Hey guys, I just wanted to remind you I took that girl's virginity." Oh, okay. And then she didn't like me anymore. But I tried to make it up to her. With a phone call, Arthur? Dogs don't want a phone call. They want a nice milk bone, if you know what I mean. I'm going to read her text as is. I'm not going to do the barking joke every time. Because it seems like they sort of have a conversation here, eventually.
My emotions were telling me the full story.
Yeah, you can really read people. You're really in touch, aren't you?
She'd already moved on and had no desire to have any kind of future with me. It's probably my fault, considering the fact I made it clear that I would never see my father again. I guess she just assumed that I wrote the whole town off as well.
I mean, as I recall, she gave you an ultimatum, which was join the military or stay here with me. If you do join the military, then we're over. And he's like, "I'm gonna join the military," and then call her up afterwards. Be like, "So I did it. Is it cool? Are you gonna stick to your word?"
God, I hope that she does. I really thought that the way she acted when I left was just a phase, and that she'd miss me down the line. Seems like I'm still unwanted.
You self-sabotaging. You're like, "Oh no, how could this happen? What are you fucking, you didn't see it every step of the way?"
I followed up with how's-ski, and she replied, "It's fine. Kinda wish I got a GED early like you did, so I could get out of here sooner." And then we sat in awkward silence on the phone for about a minute.
Dude, just hang up at that point. Nice talking to you, bye.
I felt like I was sitting next to a dead house pet, expecting it to come back to life.
What a strange simile.
I didn't want to accept that something I cared about wasn't coming back.
Yeah, the relationship is dead. Big surprise. And you killed it.
I told Ashley she could email me if she ever wanted to talk, as I didn't have a consistent phone number yet. And she said, "Oh," which means okay, and then goodbye. Sadly enough, I think my father would have been happier to hear from me than her.
Than she was. Whatever, who cares how happy you make somebody? I thought you were like this lone wolf.
Just following my instincts.
Well, this instinct is to inflate my ego, so pretend to be happy to see me.
In other news, I recently found out that I'm a coward.
Well, No shit.
One of the security forces instructors staged a hostage situation right in front of class. We were sitting in a pretty standard, more modern classroom in the middle of a security forces training building when a man burst through the door of our class, pointing a gun at our instructor while repeatedly screaming, "Sergeant Mason!"
What'd you do? Pee on yourself? Do it to your pants?
Uh-oh!
How bad was it?
Quickly after the man stormed in, he barked out a dialogue about military conspiracies. Why don't you tell them the truth about what's really going on in the government? Why don't you tell the truth about what you really are?
I think he said,
No surprise, the room full of security forces trainees did nothing.
yeah, I mean, I guess if you think it's a real gun, nobody's gonna run over there and risk getting shot, I guess. Couldn't be me, I know that for sure. You either end up dead or with a fraudulent lawsuit because you sprained their ankle when you tackled them or something. No thanks, I'm good.
The sad part is, I was only sitting about 12 feet away from the man holding the gun, and the only thing I did was zone out on the papers on my desk.
Dude, not even keeping an eye on him? Looking for an opening, something like that? Not just to tackle him, but even to just escape. You guys sit there and stare at your desk until he comes up and shoots you execution style. You know what, actually? Yeah, stare at the desk. That's a good idea.
I didn't try to fight him. I didn't try to alert anyone outside. I just sat there like a pathetic child, waiting for his mommy to come save the day. He had a gun. I didn't. Even if I felt like being a hero in place of borderline soiling my underwear, I didn't see a chance for disarming the man.
Yeah, you weren't looking for a chance. You were staring at the papers. How did you expect to find your chance if you're staring at the papers? The truth is that yes, you are a pathetic child. A petty and petulant little pissant. Seems like my P's are really plosive today. Okay, moving on.
After what seemed like 5 minutes, the gunman lowered his gun and started chuckling. Our instructor giggled to herself as well. We were all obviously confused, but our instructor quickly cleared things up.
Haha, it was just a prank, everybody.
Oh, my dude, you just got pranked. Bet you didn't see that one coming, huh?
You really should film reactions to this and put it on YouTube a decade ago because it would have killed. Well, that's unfortunate. I was hoping someone would try and stop him from blowing my brains all over the wall.
Sergeant Mason said. The sergeant then thanked the makeshift actor for playing his part and revealed to us that the gun the actor was holding was a dummy. The barrel of his shiny silver weapon was welded shut, preventing anything going in or out. The only way we could have seen this, however, was by looking down the chamber itself.
That is true. Very, very true. Can you promise me that you will look down the barrel of any weapon that you find? Just to make sure that it's not welded shut. For your good as well as mine. Come on, do it. You can look like a big brave boy.
The most humiliating moment was when Sergeant Mason turned to me and asked, Emma Linfeld, you were right there. What were you doing? And I responded, I was trying not to escalate the situation. He was far enough away from me to get a shot off before I could tackle him. I didn't want to make things worse.
Oh, Arthur, you make things worse just by existing. Yeah, why not tell the teacher what you told all of us? You're a coward. You stared at your papers like a little baby boy.
I said it with such confidence, but inside, I felt like a complete failure. What I said was both the truth and a lie.
Yeah, I guess the truth part was like not wanting to escalate the situation. And then the lie part was you even thinking about trying to stop the situation.
Sure, I was probably right about the probability of successfully wrestling away a gun without getting shot, but I'd take being wrong and brave over a coward and rat. It's the principle of the matter.
I mean, you say these things, you make all the words, and then your actions say something completely different. I'm gonna rely more on your actions to tell me who you are. You're a coward, you know it, and now you're trying to flip-flop on the whole situation.
This world's full of people who are too afraid to face corruption and death head on.
You know, all this sort of ties into that essay that I've been writing about conviction in society and why it's declined as it has. We're just too comfortable, man. We don't want to upset the status quo, even if that means sitting there and staring at papers until we get our brains blown all over the classroom.
The same people who would watch a father violate his own children and do nothing for years and years.
It all circles back to Daddy, doesn't it? What did he do to you? Played a little bit of wiggle worm when you were in the bathtub or something like that? All I know, this ain't really about his religion, is it?
If everyone stood up and fought in situations like these, would they still arise?
Yeah, I mean, probably. Crazy people tend to do crazy shit. I don't know what to tell you.
If you knew 20 people would tackle you the moment you pulled out a gun, be honest, what are the chances you would ever do it?
Why even bother tackling if you can decimate them from like 50 yards away? Are you making an argument for concealed carry right now? Because I'll support that argument.
My life is meaningless, but my existence can have more significance than this cowardly state, if I let it.
Oh yeah, it's been inside you the whole time, just waiting to get out. I don't think it's in there. I think it's gonna take massive changes within yourself to ever be able to confront a man with a firearm while you're unarmed. And to be fair, for me as well, I'm not gonna tackle anybody that has a gun. But then again, being a big, brave, strong man isn't how I find significance.
What I just went through proves how basic and irrelevant I am to this day.
Damn, that's real. That's been real for years, and he wrote it in a book. He knows. He knew his fame would decline at some point. Surely he has some money put away, right? Right, Onion Boy? You did? He didn't.
I will never stand by and watch someone become a victim again. Yeah, next time it's gonna be different, really for reals.
It's fun to pretend, isn't it?
And now we're into chapter 11, In Hell with an Angel.
Oh good, another romantic partner to take advantage of. Surely this will ease my troubled mind.
While the dorms are a miserable place, I've met a pretty amazing girl named Corey Jeffries.
Jeffrey!
My name is Jeff.
Or Airman Jeffries, as I'm supposed to call her.
That is actually true. That brings to mind a story. When I first got to Japan, and we were supposed to be introducing ourselves to the company or whatever, and I was like, yeah, I'm here with my buddy, first name in Japan, and excited and blah, blah, blah. And after the introduction, they came over and they're like, you're supposed to call him Seaman last name. I'm like, oh, okay, word. Never did. We were just committed to unprofessionalism. Anyway,
I went through a sewer slide / harming people prevention course recently, and I was one of the only people to pass it.
Yeah, right. They set those classes up so you can pass even if you have 60 IQ and breathe through your mouth, which this author definitely does.
Apparently, I'm one of the few people in the military who has the ability to show compassion for people who are about to end themselves. Surprise, right?
I mean, not really a surprise because I presume that you're lying just like we've lied about basically everything else in this book so far.
Most of us are just mindless morons who practically wreck our pants at the idea of having the opportunity to shoot someone. Now ask these people about the human side of war. Prepare to see countless military members go brain dead before your eyes. Yeah, but you're so different than all of them, aren't you? You got a heart and a soul deep down in there. You're the only real human being that ever existed on this planet, aren't you? This is the dumbest thing ever. and then there's a complete non sequitur in the next paragraph. Sure. Corey was a short, cute girl with brown eyes and dyed blonde hair.
Okay. What happened to the compassion thing from earlier? Is Corey going to attempt to end herself at one point, or was that just a complete non sequitur and we don't expect to ever bring it up again in the story? Because I know what I'm betting on, but I want to see what you think.
Corey was discouraged by the military dress code from having dyed hair, but clearly she didn't care.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you can't dye it purple or some shit, but like, I do some bleach blondes in the Navy.
Of course, a lot of other fellas on the boat knew her a lot better than I did, you know?
That's mean. I shouldn't say that. Like, you really can be a nice person who just enjoys having trains run on them, right? And I like one part of the personality and the other part I find really gross. So we just make fun of the gross part. And truth be told, my opinion on it shouldn't really matter at all because I declined any sort of participation. Anyway, back to Corey.
She was assigned my partner in digitally rating these homes with pre-recorded scenarios.
Digitally rating them? You sitting down like playing Rainbow Six Siege or something? Fuck you talking about, bro?
I guess it was after our experience that she decided she wanted to be my friend. We were basically two human beings surrounded by mindless drones. How could we not gravitate towards one another?
Ah, yes, main character and love interest, and everybody else just NPCs. They're here as background characters.
In the training event, each airman was called up to stand next to a projector with their dummy guns and observe the screen. This felt a lot like playing a video game, like Time Crisis in the arcade.
Let me tell you something right now. You keep the name Time Crisis out of your fucking mouth.
Did it have a little pedal that you could like lift up to pop out and hide behind stuff? I do love Time Crisis. Probably the worst way ever to train actual police officers. Or not actual, Air Force police officers. I don't think they have to deal with a lot of things that actual cops do. Anyway.
I watched student after student fail to get the digital characters they face to drop their weapons. That's what happens when you treat people on the verge like they're rabies-infected dogs.
Oh yeah, but you were so different, right? You're the only one that could really connect with this person because
you live life on the fringes of society too.
This is adorable.
The computer-controlled video would take the trainees through a house, straight into a room, and the same guy would be on his bed with his gun held up to his head. As soon as the airman saw him holding it, regardless of his obvious condition, they would in response just scream over and over again,
"Drop the gun! Drop the gun now!"
Someone was stupid enough to say,
"Drop the gun or I'll shoot!"
And everyone in the room reacted with either laughter or angry scoffs.
Shit is pretty funny though.
Sir, drop the gun! Sir, get down! Hey! To the window! To the wall!
You don't do it, I'll do it.
It was clear the student threatening someone with a gun offended our trainer. Sergeant Mason asked in a very angry tone,
"You would shoot someone pointing a gun at themselves?"
The student replied,
"No, I'm sorry, Sergeant."
Their words fell on deaf ears. We were still incredibly disgusted with the stupidity it took to even consider threatening someone already wanting to die.
Oh yes, I'm completely offended on this digital human being's behalf. How far do you have to reach to, like, find some problems? He just threatened to shoot somebody in a video game, and I thought that was really problematic. I'm sure you did.
It was my turn to go up. Corey stood next to me and aimed her weapon at the screen. The projector took us through pretty much the same scenario. The same man had a gun at his side. I was glad to see that the gun wasn't to his head yet. I began to talk to him as if he were really right in front of me. Hey, sir, we're here to make things right. How can we resolve this? I asked. I could hear Sergeant Mason clicking away at her computer mouse, no doubt selecting the next path for the scenario to take.
Oh yes, this is some super advanced stuff we got going on.
My wife left me and I want to die! The man in the projector screamed. He lifted the gun up. Oh crap, right? I thought I was doing well, but clearly I needed to adapt.
What did you think was going to happen? You're like, how can you resolve this? And he's like, you know what? Actually, I think I'm good. I don't actually want to do this. It was all just a test, you guys. Let's all go home. And then the cops laugh and turn around to walk out of the room, and then they hear a gunshot. And yeah. He tricked them. It's like some really dark comedy.
The man before me wore black shorts and a white tank top. He was slightly heavier, middle-aged, and ungroomed.
Ungroomed? This is my fucking house. I can look however I want in my house.
It wasn't my job to remind him of how lazy he appeared, or what a mess his house was. When someone's about to jump, you don't push them. You do everything you can to pull them back.
Yeah, it's weird that you'd even take a note of it, to be honest. You got all kinds of shit all over the floor. Pee-pee bottles in the corner. You didn't even brush your teeth. If you're gonna blow a hole through the back of your head, you gotta brush your teeth or else the stinky will get into your brain parts.
I quickly said, "Sir, you have so much to live for. Please don't do this. We want to help you." Hearing this, Corey then chimed in, "Please put down the gun. It'll be okay." I heard Sergeant Mason click away yet again. Then the man said, "I have nothing to live for. I'm gonna do it." I felt slightly offended the computer didn't register what I just said. But it wasn't state-of-the-art equipment, so what can you do?
What do you mean it didn't register what you said? You said you have so much to live for. He said I have nothing to live for. Seems like a direct response to me. Do you understand what a military budget is like? Of course they have top-of-the-line shit. Or at least top of the line from the lowest possible bidder.
I refused to let him give up like this. I wasn't willing to accept failure. I responded to the man, "You have so much to live for."
It's the only line he has.
"This situation is temporary. You can be happy again. Don't make this mistake." Corey remained silent next to me as we both looked down in awkward silence.
Oh, I'm waiting with bated breath. What could possibly happen next?
The man then said, Okay, I'm putting down the gun."
Wow, that was easy. Took a total of like 3 minutes to talk this guy out of doing what he was gonna do. Why don't we just do that with everybody? Oh, because people aren't computer programs and the problems are often a lot deeper than just surface level. But whatever, good. I'm glad you played the game really great.
And with that, we were the first 2 people out of the 14 or so that went before us to actually save the digital character.
Oh yeah, now we've saved the digital world.
2 digital champions to save the digital world.
The room didn't offer any applause. Everyone there simply remained quiet.
I mean, is that something you're supposed to clap for? Yay, that guy's not gonna shoot himself. Hooray. It makes things a little bit awkward for the digital character. I find it problematic that you would expect him to applause.
The only real congratulations we got for being the first to save someone was a smile and a nod from Sergeant Mason.
I think Author actually has like deep romantic feelings for Sergeant Mason. That's why he was so broken up about the gunman thing. That's why he thinks that smile and nod is worth more than applause from a room full of people.
It's all about Sergeant Mason.
Go over there, kiss him on the mouth, see what happens.
It's silly in a way, but I really felt proud of myself for saving the character.
Kind of stupid, but yeah, it's the small victories, I guess.
It was like I wasn't just this useless coward I previously concluded myself to be. Looks like I have a little bit of that ridiculous thing that people call hope.
Yes, you're very good at talking to digital characters. Dealing with actual people intent on self-harm is basically the same thing. It's a giant dialogue tree. You just have to select the correct options.
Regardless, to my pleasant surprise, Corey and I have been pretty inseparable since.
Well, there's crazier video games to bond over, I guess.
I always try to eat at her table in the chow hall, and she often goes out of her way to stand by me in formation.
Yeah, that's the way solid relationships are built. You know she really likes you if she stands next to you in formation.
We were sitting in my dorm room the other day. How old are you, Arthur? Corey asked. I'm 18, I said. I would have mentioned turning 18 earlier, but birthdays are pretty irrelevant to me. Why should I celebrate being 1 year closer to death?
That's not the case at all. The author just didn't decide how old he is. Or forgot to write something about it while he was going on about being enlisted. It's supposed to be a journal. What kind of journal goes for months without any sort of update? Whatever.
Corey smiled and replied, well, I just turned 17. I asked, why did you join so early? She giggled and replied, I graduated early and wanted to be a lit major, but I couldn't afford college. You? I felt incredibly awkward. I really didn't want to answer this question. Having a GED isn't really something to brag about, but I told her anyway. I got a GED after being expelled from high school for fights I'd been in on and off campus.
So you weren't really bragging about the GED part of it. You're like, I fight people. It's no big deal. Just what every little girl wants, a violent maniac to be her Prince Charming.
Corey sat back and said, wow, you're an uneducated troublemaker, aren't you? Fortunately, she said it in a joking tone. Otherwise, I would have died a little inside.
Why? Because she told you the truth? If you really don't like it that much, there's steps that you could take to change it. Just a suggestion.
I replied, yeah, you could say that. She smiled and said, I'm kidding. There's obviously a lot more to you. How'd your parents handle you joining up? Great. Another question I didn't want to dive into at all.
Oh, shut up. You love it. You soak up that sympathy like a sponge.
Like I'm sharing my deepest, darkest moments with you, Corey. Don't you want to share a deep, dark part of yourself with me? Giggity.
I know exactly what's going on here.
Just thinking about my father's reaction when I told him I was leaving made me sick. I didn't want to talk about my dad's excited look when he realized he didn't have to put up with me anymore.
I mean, couldn't you be excited that you're making something of your life?
I didn't want to talk about how his girlfriend packed my things as soon as humanly possible, and how ready they both were to say goodbye.
Yep, I'm sure the military has you on a very tight time scale. I'll have my frog-shaped girlfriend help you pack. I do think they're trying to be helpful. I think this whole persecution complex is only in author's head.
The idea they never had to see me again clearly was the best thing that happened to them in some time. Their response was expected, but somehow emotionally crippling.
I mean, when your brain is as crippled as authors, yes, that does include the emotions.
No, Corey had enough information to know the amount of truth she needed.
Yeah, we'll just dodge that question. No problem.
I just wanted to hang out with Corey and forget about my other life. So I said, well, like, they're whatever. I'm here. That's all I care about. She smiled and replied, I'm glad you're here, Arthur. I started blushing, only to try and wipe it away. Not a lot of people showed such sincere interest in me. I felt so lucky to be around this girl.
Ugh, simp.
And who's that? Oh, it's Mr. MVP! Simp!
Thank you for letting me exist around you.
But whatever, good, great. I'm glad you could build a somewhat human relationship. She is human, right? It's not going to turn out to be a dog again, is it?
Get the fuck out of here. Side note, yes, I realize I'm softening up, but for Corey, it's what she deserves.
God, he really does have, like, big simp energy, doesn't he? He meets a girl, and then he makes that woman central to his life. At least until she served her purpose, and then we can cast her aside. I wonder how long it's going to take for that to happen to Corey. Author out here like,
I would totally give her the whole world as long as it isn't too inconvenient for me. I thought the military would make me an even more serious and domineering person. I was partially wrong. There's just something about most everyone around me being more miserable than I've ever been, mixed with being able to see Corey on a daily basis. This place, so many describe as hell, has become an unexpected paradise for me.
now that's what I call edgy.
Everyone else is suffering and miserable, but I love it. I feel like a lit match. When I'm surrounded by light, I'm worthless, but in the dark, I thrive. This is where I belong.
Oh God, if only we could keep you in the dark forever. If only we never had to see or hear from you again. But unfortunately, it's still going. We're roughly to the halfway point. I thought about doing one more chapter, but no fucking way. Not today. I promise I won't kick the can down the road as hard this time. We might as well wrap this turd burger up so we can get on to something that's actually more interesting. This whole thing is just a man in his 30s painting out his power fantasy. It's really weird. It's pathetic. I don't like it none too much. I never thought I'd admit that I had more fun with the Roger Manifesto than with this, but I'm telling you right now, just facts. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the episode in some capacity, friends. Like, comment, sub, if you would be so kind. You could also sign up on Patreon or YouTube memberships if you wanted to support me a little bit monthly. I do depend on it a whole heck of a lot. We've also got a PayPal link in the description if you want to hit me up for a one-time thing. Teespring if you want to support and get something for yourself. At the same time, Amazon affiliate link also serves roughly that same purpose. Any way that you can support massive MVP play, and that includes just watching the video, especially if you watched it this far. Thank you. Always remember, friends, that you are loved, you are worthy, you definitely deserve it, and I shall see you in the next one. So until then, bye-bye. Go ahead and cut them open. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine.
Promise. Where's he?